they are discovering that athletes live in communities. Training camps are located in communities. The reason for bringing on board elders is to talk to the athletes and to monitor the people who keep company with the athletes. This is after the discovery that there was a doping racket in the country where some unscrupulous individuals were colluding with people who introduce athletes to banned substances. So the essence is to disrupt this racket and try to make sure that the people who dispense these drugs are dealt with. So that was the reason why elders and community leaders have been now brought in the fight against doping.
Yes, very, very important. Remember, the country is trying to make sure that we can run clean. And on your screen, we had mentioned earlier that the residents of the county are just out trying to cheer everybody who is running today so that they can get their personal best in this marathon, or probably even set a course record this year. But remember, on the women's side, we have just passed the 37-kilometer mark, and Naomi Chepkorir seems not to take the gas, rather the foot off the gas pedal, as she is determined to win this year's race. Behind her, a few meters back, is Joy Kumuma. And on the finish line, of course, a number of people have just gathered there. The crowds increasing just by the minute to come and witness the athletes who will win this race. Remember, it might be your friend. This is a county where you have lots of athletes. It might be your friend who's winning that this year's race and going home as a new millionaire. Remember, the winners both in the men and women's 42 kilometers get 1 million shillings. The runners-up get 750,000, with the second runners-up getting 500,000 or $500,000. So people have really come out in numbers to witness this big occasion for them, and also it is a big occasion for the county, as it is the second edition of the Iten International Marathon in Elgeyo Marakwet County. And remember, we had people who were also taking part in the 5-kilometer fundraiser. I even saw the CS4 Roads Kipchumba Murkomen also took part in that. We'll later on definitely get to hear from him how it was, taking part in that. And Komen, you cannot talk about Elgeyo Marakwet County without talking about Kamarini Stadium.
It is very interesting. First of all, before I get into that,
Steve was there a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Steve was in. How is it so far?
Kamari Stadium stalled, unfortunately.
Yes.
And construction is yet to begin.
Yes.
But what happened is that the county government of Elgeyo Marakwet upgraded the track to Maram, and athletes are now using it despite the fact that it is still stalling. So I think that is the most unfortunate thing. And I can see the Cabinet Secretary for Sports is here. Maybe hopefully he will weigh in on that and maybe assure the athletes that the challenge of traveling all the way to Eldoret for track sessions or all the way to Tambaj will be a thing of the past in the next few months or in the next few years.
But recently, the CS Sports, that's Babu Namamba, said that the Kamarin Stadium will not be elevated or refurbished as a competition stadium, but as a training side with the right facilities, given the fact that it is so the site is so conducive for training, for training, and the best site in the world. So I think if that one goes well, in my view, it is okay. It is going to help quite a number of athletes. And on that note, you said the CS roads competed in 5,000.
5K, yes.
5K.
Yes.
It's interesting. The CS Sports Roads, that's Kipchumba Murkomen, was a student in St. Patrick's here.
Just a few meters.
Just a few meters here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a very, very interesting.
He's a footballer.
we are keeping tabs. We are keeping tabs on the men and women's 42 kilometers. Remember, at the moment, Naomi Chepkorir leading in the women's 42 kilometers, and just behind her, although not visible from a distance, is Joy Kumuma, and she looks very determined to take home the top prize in this year's race. They are almost approaching the 40-kilometer mark, so we are eagerly waiting to see if she can keep up that pace and win this year's marathon. And Steve, aside from, we've spoken about how important this race is to the county, the men and women that have made this county proud when you talk about athletics, but also the theme for this year's race is running for climate resilience. And you've been covering the activities that have led to this race, and it's all about trying to increase the tree coverage for the county. Steve,
the climate running for climate resilience theme is a fantastic theme, because environmental conservation is critical in terms of having a natural environment, an environment that has a big number of trees and has fresh air, because an athlete will not run or compete in an environment that is polluted. They're just cleaning up the air,
yes,
ensuring that the environment in which athletes train is natural and has fresh air. And that has been happening in a big number of races.
Yes,
climate action has been the theme of many races because of the urge, or because of the need to have athletes train in natural settings, settings that are free of polluted air. I think that is the main thing. And for this race, the tree planting exercise took part in areas around the Kamarin Stadium. That is where the athletes train. Areas near Kipsoen, where athletes also train.
yes,
The tree planting exercises are also happening here in town. Remember, 3,000 athletes train here every day. In fact, you might be surprised to see more than 300 athletes just training and running at the same time every day. This happens, or this needs to happen, in an environment that is natural and that is well conserved.
yes,
Yes.
yes. I commend, of course. Aside from the tree planting exercise, we have a big forest here that is very, very beneficial to athletes. Kaptagat.
Yeah, Elko Marakwet is naturally endowed with forests, an indigenous one, so to speak.
Yes.
All along from the Keyo north side to Keyo south, where we have Kaptagat Forest.
Yes.
And then Kaptagat Forest has helped quite a number of athletes, because you see in Kaptagat there is no training track.
Yes.
Apart from the track that the Global Sports Communications come,
Yes.
that is run by Patrick Sang,
Yes.
and then running.
Yes.
Where the likes of Eliud Kipchoge, Faith Kipyegon, Geoffrey Kamworor and the others train,
Yes.
there is no track. So a majority of the athletes in Kaptagat use the forest trails.
Yes.
And Kelvin Kiptum
Yes.
is among the athletes who have benefits from the forest trails
Yes.
of training inside the forests,
Yes.
which is very conducive, fresh air,
Yes.
and the altitude is also very good. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Remember, it's all about running for climate resilience. The county has been having tree planting exercises as a lead up to the second edition of the Iten International Marathon, trying to increase the tree cover that is in the area. And aside from planting, the normal trees, they have also encouraged the residents to plant trees that can also produce fruits to help the local community. I had a conversation with the CEC for Sports yesterday, that is Purity Koima, and she said that they are trying to just encourage all the residents to plant trees, whether it is fruit producing trees or just the normal trees, as long as the plant cover is increased. At the moment, with less than 3 kilometers to go for the women, we are keeping tabs on them. Naomi Chebet still leading, and of course on the screen now it's the men's marathon, also just going on with only one person that has broken up, and he's trying to maintain his pace as he moves or rather comes closer and closer to the finish line. And very, very interesting how this race is going to end this year. Probably it might be a different winner. We've seen a number of people coming to the finish line. They want to celebrate that win with whoever wins. And as you can see, we are having people who are cheering them on along the roads, trying to even run alongside them, just to motivate them that they can do this. They can win this year's edition of the marathon. And the women are almost coming to the finish line. They're approaching the finish line here in Iten town, and Naomi Chebet just counting, measuring her strides, keeping that pace going as she comes to the finish line. And I'm sure a lot is going through her mind at the moment. Remember, they started this race big number of contestants, but at the moment only one, and that is Naomi Chebet pushing on to the finish line. She wants to make sure that everything remains constant so that she can win this race. Comment, what do you think is going through her mind at the moment?
Of course, an athlete, when right from 30 kilometer mark, whether in those races like Boston, New York, that are without pacemakers.
Yes.
At 30 kilometers, that's 12 kilometers just left.
Yes.
An athlete has to think. Has to think on how to save energy.
Yes.
And calculate it and do the best mathematics to ensure that they can sustain the pace.
Yes.
Up to the tap.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that is what is going through her mind, and then she's trying to also to calculate whether the second in position will still catch up. And then I'm pretty sure most of the athletes, an experienced athlete must have gone through the course to understand what is left behind in the last 12 kilometers.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not that easy.
It's not easy. I can tell you that
might
for
be
free.
Your day in office or
you
not,
see.
or an off day.
I told you this.
Yes.
New York and Boston do not have pacemakers. You go on your own.
Yes.
It's unlike Berlin, London, and even Tokyo, or Amsterdam or Rotterdam, for that matter, where you have best setters up to 30 kilometers.
Yes.
This one, they are no best makers. This is another Boston and New York. They are no best makers. So you have to go on your own and do your own mathematics. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Naomi Chebet just passed by that big welcome sign. Welcome to Iten. Very big sign right there, which means she's almost getting to the finish line after going up a climb. Right now, she's going up a downhill. She'll be coming to the finish line, where some of the invited dignitaries also are waiting to see that name that will go in the history books as the winner of the second edition of the Iten International Marathon that is happening in Elgeyo-Marakwet County. And she's almost coming to the finish line, and is just counting her steps to make sure that everything is intact, and she's only a few meters away from cutting the tape.